Good afternoon, everyone. Billy Randall here, DFW Subies and BDR Automotive. I'm here with Shawn, with Kraken, the owner of Kraken.
Hello.
We just wanted to sit down and just get kneecap to kneecap and be able to touch base and kind of let the customers and anybody of the other audiences out there know what Kraken actually has to offer and what they can bring to the table. And with that being said, Shawn, I appreciate, first off, you coming out here.
I appreciate you doing this. It's awesome.
On your quote-unquote day off, right? There are all too many times that I go on Facebook and I see Shawn in the shop 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, grinding, putting out a customer's cars, doing what he needs to do to make sure the customers are happy. He's always putting all his customers first, and then, obviously his time off comes second. So I appreciate
to my wife's chagrin. Yeah.
So I did have a couple questions for you.
All right, bring it on. Bring it on.
And these are some of the questions that some of the actual customers out there are interested in. So your first question is going to be, what got you into driving, racing cars and modifying them?
I've always been into cars. When I was a kid, I didn't have the best home life when I was a kid, right? And so I had to find ways to occupy myself and kind of find a positive outlet for my angst and my energy that I had due to all of that.
Right.
And so I would get into the libraries because it was the only place that was open and free every day, right? And it had air conditioning. And I lived in Florida at the time, so we had no AC in our house.
Sticky, nice and sticky.
So I'd go into the library and I would be there all day from open to close. That's just during the summertime. That's where I hung out. I got into the periodicals, like car magazines were the big thing, right? In the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Sport compact car, good stuff. Yeah,
Classics.
Showing our age.
That's right. And man, I would just pour over them. And then I found a section of the library that had technical manuals.
Okay.
And I would read the technical manuals and learn. Like when I was 9 years old, I could tell you the torque specs for the heads on a 911 turbo, and I didn't even know what that meant, right?
Really?
I just absorbed information like that. So, and then when I became a teenager, I started racing RC cars and got into that. And then that led into go-karts, and I built this little junk go-kart in my backyard and went out and raced that. And when I got a real car, there was no looking back.
What was the real car?
My first car was really funny. My dad, once I came to live with my dad when I was 12, life obviously got a lot better.
Right.
So when my dad told me, if you graduate and your grades are at this point, when you graduate high school, I'll buy you a car. And I was like, awesome, right? And I told him, I want a sports car. I want to put something fun and fast, And he said, okay. And he said, I want you to get a truck. Because he had a boat, he wanted a truck for a boat. And I said, well, I want a sports car. He's like, well, I'm going to get you a truck. So we compromised, and I got a truck. Was the compromise that my dad bought me whatever the hell he wanted. So my first car was a 1991 Chevrolet Stepside.
Okay.
My dad did make the caveat that I was allowed to modify it, right? So I put a supercharger on it, and I lowered it, and I did all these things and took it drag racing, right? We were down at Ennis every weekend, drag racing, and
without the
going
boat,
to
right?
town. Without the boat. So that was my first race car was a truck, believe it or not.
Nice.
Yep.
Now that you look back at it, what is the vehicle that you wish you would have allowed you to get?
I wanted a 300ZX, something fierce. Like I wanted the Z31, not the
twin turbo,
not the twin turbo, the single turbo, the wedge, like the 80s. 300
flip headlights.
Oh yeah, that was the
Classic.
thing. Yeah, when I was a kid, the 80s cars, all the cool cars had the pop-up headlights and that cool wedge shape, the Testarossa, the Lamborghinis, the Countach, all those cars had that cool shape to them, and I wanted a 300ZX super bad. I really wanted a GTR, but I couldn't have one, and couldn't afford one even if I did. So that was like the next best thing to me was the 300ZX. So, But yeah, the day my dad signed the title of that truck over to me, right? Because he actually bought me the truck when I was a junior. And I had it through high school. When I graduated is when he actually gave it to me. Up until that point, it was his truck. I was allowed to use it. And literally 2 days after he signed the title over to me, I went and traded it on and used it.
Nice. I'm good. I guarantee that's one of the vehicles you wish you still had.
Yeah.
But as far as reliability and things like that, what do you foresee as far as issues that you're seeing that come through your shop? Reliability issues, like some of the customers that buy the vehicles, because from what I understand, a lot of Subaru customers are coming from the Honda world.
Yes.
And with the Honda world, all you have to do is just make sure it has coolant, maybe some oil.
Maybe some oil.
And then you can drive it forever, however long, and even if it blows up, it still doesn't blow up.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cockroach.
Yeah.
You know, nothing against Hondas, because I'm a Honda guy.
They're fantastic.
I was Hondas in the 90s.
They are
Still love them.
they are
Respect the
indestructible.
Hondas. However, they are not a Subaru.
No.
So what are you seeing as far as issues goes when a customer comes to you and says, hey, this is what I want to do, but it's almost in the same line as what a Honda would do?
So the biggest problem that I think Subarus in general have, Subarus for whatever, and it's not just Subarus, it's Boxer motors. Boxer motors in general are very particular about the fluids that you put in them, okay? Subarus, more so than anything else that I've seen, they need good quality products. So for example, Subaru actually developed a special synthetic oil for their turbo cars. The synthetic oil, the OEM synthetic Subaru oil, is actually on a level with all of the higher end oils that are out there. It is that good, which is also why it's expensive, right? You can go to a Ford dealership and buy quarts of oil for $5-6 a piece, and the Subaru oils are $12 to $16 a piece, right? So a lot of it is people putting fluids in their cars that are not up to the task. These cars run really hot on average compared to other vehicles. So they need they need oil that's got good heat shearing or shearing. They need oil that's got good thermal viscosity qualities, so that viscosity is maintained throughout the temperature range and over the life of the oil. And that's the biggest problem, is as the oil, most oils, the first 500 miles, they're all exactly the same. From the $3 oil you buy at the gas station to the most expensive $50 a bottle oil that you can get for Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
Taco oil.
First 500 miles, they're almost all identical.
Right.
It's after that where things really start to drastically change. That inexpensive oil or even recycled oil falls off on its thermal viscosity very quickly after those initial heat cycles. We run liquid moly here at the shop. That's pretty much all we use at this point. It took us 18 months to switch over to liquid moly from the previous product we were using.
You aren't a believer?
When it comes to car stuff, especially fluids, I'm never a believer of the hype, ever. You can tell me till you're blue in the face, I've run this oil for 50 years, and every car I've ever owned, and it's fantastic. I don't care, right? The engineers, the scientists, they can all tell me that. I don't care. I want to see it, right? So we took a fleet of 5 cars, our 1,000 horsepower drag car, my wife's 500 horsepower street car, our Subaru Crosstrek, which is just a daily driven car, my little sandbar van, because on the highway that van runs 6,000 RPM constantly, and then 6 cars, so 2 customer cars. And we put the liquid moly in them, and we ran them through their paces just like we normally would. We took the drag car drag racing. My wife daily drove her 500. We daily drove the Crosstrek. I drove the van to pick up parts, the things, customers. I told, don't drive any different. Whatever you normally do, do that. And we did 2 oil changes. So 6,000 miles on every car. Well, not on the race car, right? It was more like on Johnny's car.
On that race car, what race car are you talking about?
The Johnny's drag car.
You had to get a shout out. You had to get a shout out.
Everybody knows Johnny.
Yeah. What's the name of the car?
Rowdy.
Okay, I had to give a shout out.
So Rowdy, I think we ran 6 events. So 3 events on each oil change, or maybe 2, I don't remember. And then we sent them off to Blackstone to have them analyzed. Right? So we collected all this data over like 12, 14 months, collected all this data and all these different things. And we had all the data from the previous products we were using because we did the same thing when we went to that product, right? And we compared it all, and the liquid moly just was so good in every way. It was as good in 80%, right? Just as good as the most expensive high-end oils that we could get. And then in about 20% of the categories, it was better. Between 5 and 20% better. 20% is huge, depending on what it was and what car we were using it in. That is probably the failures that we see in Subaru motors. I would say at least 3/4 of the time. 3 out of every 4 car motors we see fail because of some sort of lubrication issue in the motor. And so every motor that we build, we make sure that we shore up that issue, right? Better oil pumps, better oil pickups, better fluids, and make sure that the customers know you need to do these things, you need to run these fluids in the cars. The other thing is, to be real honest, just people abusing it.
Yeah.
You know, I know, I've spent 30 grand to build this 600 horsepower monster of a street car and it's awesome. Well, that's great, but if every stoplight is a drag race, every on-ramp is an endurance test of your car, you're gonna break it, right? If you drive it 9/10 all the time, there's no car that's gonna survive. Well, maybe a Honda, right? Honda. To
this day.
But yeah, Subaru's not gonna survive.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense. And as far as the liquid moly, it is pretty affordable. I mean, as far
It
as
is pretty
comparisons
affordable.
to the top,
Yeah, it's kind of right in the middle of the top brands. It's not the cheapest oil out there, but it's also certainly not the most expensive.
Right.
Their whole line, I'm not a big fan of additives, right? I come from the dealership world, so additives they're snake oil to me, right? All those fuel additives and oil additives, and they sell
fuel
you
injectors.
Oh yeah, and 90% of them don't do crap, right? They just don't, and I'm going to get a lot of hate and arguments. I don't care because they just don't work. I've tested them, I've tried them, I've done the laboratory analysis with them, and they just don't do anything. Liquid moly is the first product in my entire career, through the dealerships, through owning my own shops, that I have ever actively sold to people. They work, and they do a really good job. So.
Right. So, we obviously know what type of oil you love.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? What's a dream car of yours? I know you already own some amazing vehicles, as it is the Evo.
Yeah.
You've got
My
the
GTR.
GTR. I mean, I know you had spoke on that. Now that you've already obtained those vehicles, they're not considered dream cars anymore because they're in the garage. Right. So what is one of Shawn's dream cars?
So I had 2 posters of cars on my wall when I was a kid. My dad was very big on not putting things on the wall in our house. So inside my closet door, I was allowed to put stuff in my closet. And I had room for 2 posters, and one of them was a white on white R32 GTR, right? Identical to the one that I now own. So I have that one. The one directly below that was a 1986 911 turbo slant nose. Regards red with the tan interior. So a Porsche. Yeah, I would love to own a Porsche. I'd really like an older, like mid 2000s, 2006 to 2009 GT3 would kind of be my halo car right now. Something of that ilk. But yeah, one of these days I'd love to own a Porsche. I've driven dozens of them. They're phenomenal cars. They're just something about, they're like the Subarus. There's so much wrong with a 911. There's so many bad things about that car. They're hard to drive. They're hard to drive fast. They will reach up and bite you in the butt very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. They're not great cars for amateurs, right? They are a difficult car to drive really fast. And the newer ones are different, but especially back then, they were uncomfortable. The ergonomics in them were terrible. The fit and finish on the car was, right? Just like any high-end car back then. But man, the engines in those cars, the suspension, the engineering that goes into them to make them do what they do is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Porsche has held more records in the Nuremberg Ring than any other manufacturer in the world.
It's crazy that you mentioned that, you know, because we actually gifted you with a port. No, I'm just. Definitely a digress. Yeah, definitely. So as far as for your customers, like we spoke a little earlier about, you know, what are, you know, some of the issues that you're seeing, you know, coming in, people want to do this, do that. As a professional owner, and still, I mean, you're a shop, you know, and you have to be able to provide business, you know, and things like that. You've got to, you know, do what you have to do in order to keep the lights on.
Yeah, we got to make money.
What do you suggest to your customers when they first come in? Like, say if, hypothetically, they're a brand new Subaru owner, never owned it, and I'm new to the community, but I want to make 1,000 horsepower. You know, everybody wants to make 1,000 horsepower with a Subaru, right?
Yeah.
What's the first step?
The first conversation I have with them is most normal people have no idea how fast a 500 horsepower car is.
Right.
Have no clue, right? And if you've never driven a 500 horsepower car, like really like on a track or in a scenario where you can drive that car 9/10 all the way to its limit, most people have zero clue how fast a 500 horsepower car is.
Right.
So that's the first conversation we have. Why is that the number that's sticking in your head, right? And then I'll take them for a ride in my wife's 500, almost 600 horsepower street car, and quickly talk them out of wanting 1,000 horsepower. I'll take them out and scare the crap out of them.
Because they're content with.
And they're like, oh, I had no idea, right? It's like that scene, if you've ever seen the movie Ford versus Ferrari, right? Where Carroll Shelby puts Ford in the GT40 with him, and at the end of it, he's like, I had no idea. Right? Crying, and just he doesn't know what to do with his hands. I had no idea. That's obviously not to that level. I'm not saying, you know, that's a whole different level of car, but that type of experience, that's the first thing that I want them to have. I want them to have an idea of what these cars are capable of at different levels, so they have a realistic goal in mind. Once we get to that realistic goal, then we start to talk about budget and kind of what is this really going to cost to do. I like to start, when I'm building a car, I like to start with things that make the car better as it is. Because not a lot of people walk in with a bone stock car and go, here's 40 grand, make me a 600 horsepower car. Right? They build it in stages.
Right.
So most cars today make more power than the car can handle, right? And I can prove it, right? Get in any car. I don't care if it's a minivan, any car. Turn the traction control off.
Oh yeah, loose.
And put your foot in. That stuff, right?
Groceries, kids, and all.
Put your foot in.
Yeah, all of them.
And I guarantee you, 99% of the cars on the road today, if you do that, what are they going to do? Right? They're going to rip the tires loose. They're going to spin the tires. Right. Same thing. Throw that car into a corner. Right? See what happens. Mm-hmm. Right? See if the car can handle the power that it puts out, the speed that car can produce. Can it handle that speed?
That's the F around and find out, right?
And the answer is unequivocally no, they cannot. Right? So improving suspension, improving brakes, they're very high on my list of priorities when we build a car. I can make a bone stock Subaru faster around a track, right? And that's my metric. When we talk about fast cars, everybody thinks about street racing and who's faster? Yeah. That is just horsepower. To me, when I talk about fast cars, I talk about lap times on a real track with straights, with turns, with braking zones, everything that the car does. To me, that's a fast car, right? So I could build a faster car around MSR, for example, and never touch the engine. Right?
All suspension, brakes,
suspension,
tires,
braking, that sort of thing. You take a bone stock Subaru and do a full stage 2 with the 85. Right? That's an extra 100 horsepower. That's a 350 horsepower car. Right? I'll take the exact same car, not touch the engine, and I'll do suspension, I'll do braking. We'll spend the same amount of money, and I promise you, with the same driver, my car will go faster around that track. I promise you it will. Right? We've done this. similar, not exactly, but we've taken cars that were stock suspension, stock brakes, and run lap times in them, and then taken one with modified suspension and brakes and run the same lap times, same driver, and every single time those cars are faster. Right? And you ask any shop that really tracks cars, you talk about shops like Vorschlag and PRL and the guys out at MSR, Rapscallion, the shops like that are really tracking cars, not just building street cars. Texas Track Works. Yeah, thank you. That's another really great one. They'll tell you the same thing. Right? They'll tell you the same thing. Most of those cars that they're building, most of these spec cars that they're building, they're not allowed to touch the engine. And they're fast as hell. Right? So, yeah.
So do you foresee Kraken having a racing?
Well, we do. We've done drag racing, right? We're still doing drag racing.
Right.
We've got Rowdy, and Rowdy's going to continue to be campaigned in drag racing. We just finished our Evo X. That's going to be about 1,000 horsepower car. Mike's car. Yeah, Evo Mike.
Yep, Evo Mike.
His car's about to be tuned here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. Love you, Mike. So we got drag racing covered. We're building the Rataroo, right? Our big crazy,
it's going to be like a
nutso over-the-top project in conjunction with Jesse's Performance. And Jesse's
Mad Max.
It's so awesome. Jesse brings such a different energy to that project than I do, and that's why I wanted to partner with him on something so bad for the last 3 years. And I'm so glad we got to do this because he's so different than me in so many ways, but also we're so much the same. That car's going to be incredible. So that's going to be a drift car, right? Alicia wants to start drifting. So we'll have that. And then P2P Racing, who is our engine builder, our machine shop, they have a time attack car that is, I can't even describe to you what this car is going to be, right? I'm not allowed to talk about 90%.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I was about to ask you a question.
Let's just say it's Subaru, right? Okay. It's an STI. Let's just say this car is so over the top. I've personally never seen anything like it outside of professional racing. Wow. It's going to be that good. So we'll have that. I'm going to get my bug eye finished this winter.
Nice.
So I'll be back out on track doing autocross and time attack with that car. So I mean, we have a racing team. We haven't gotten back into track racing just yet. I used to do it all the time. I instructed on track, and I've been out of it for about 5 years. I really miss it. I'm ready to get back.
Same.
And our land speed car will be running this year as well, the Land Shark.
Oh, okay.
So we held 3 records in that car, and they've all fallen because the car's been in mothballs for 10 years. So we're getting her out of storage and building a whole new power plant for that car. We're going to make a lot of power. Let's just put it that way.
I heard you have some more radical guy named Trey Freeman is supposed to be doing that too. He's supposed to be a track alley in too.
Yeah, so, that's right. Trey's car is also going to be one of our time attack slash track rack cars. So, so we'll have 3 track cars, 2 drag cars, a drift car, and a land speed car by the end of this year. So,
nice.
By the spring of next year. So that's
2025. We got a lot coming.
Yeah. Good. So that's our plan. So
Good.
Yep.
So I mean, I for one believe that you probably throw the most shows, I think, than I mean, it could be
we put our
music video,
just stuff.
Everything. Yeah. You just got Krakens everywhere.
I'm just a big supporter of the car scene. I think shops have to get involved in sponsorship. I mean, there's a lot of shows that my name's on the flyer and we don't even get to go. Right? Because we sponsor, garage events, we sponsor race wars, we sponsor IFO sometimes, and garage events does 2-3 shows a month. I can't not be at the shop every Saturday. You know what I mean? But it's still important to me, even though we're not there. It's still important for me to support those events because if we don't support them, they're going to disappear. And right now we have such a rich culture of car shows and car events in DFW. We're so lucky on any given day, on the weekends, during the week, literally every single day of the week, especially during the summer, the nice weather months, there's a car show to go to, or a meet, or
park
a cruise.
Park up front.
Right, park up front.
We're going to have it at this burger spot.
It's just every day. You could go to one every day. And so I want to do my part to support that. I mean, obviously, promotes my business and my name gets out there.
Absolutely.
There's obviously reasons that I do it.
Got it.
It's not 100% altruistic. I don't want to mislead anybody, but it does come from a place of wanting to support the culture and wanting to support these smaller shows, like Moe's, like garage events and immersion racing, those sorts of things.
Right.
Supporting these smaller groups that are trying to get off the ground and try and put these things together, I think is really important to build the community the way that we want it to be built. So,
Right.
yeah.
So as far as the shows that you omitting Kraken shows.
Omitting our own shows.
Yeah. So what are one of your favorite shows that you've attended recently?
Last year we did Race Wars at Coda.
Oh yes.
It
I missed
was
that one. Yeah.
unbelievable.
Really?
It was so much fun because Jeff did such a great job. Jeff with 742 Marketing is who runs Race Wars, and we're a big sponsor of Race Wars. We're a title sponsor with that organization. One, because Jeff's just doing it right, and two, Race Wars is just it's an iconic. I mean, you could imagine 16-year-old me watching the original Fast and Furious, thinking, one day I'm going to be sponsoring Race Wars, right?
Never,
right? Yeah, never.
Right,
So,
right. Dream big.
But yeah, so that event was awesome because it had everything, right? We had drifting, we had track grip racing, we had car show, we had.
Oh, it was all.
Yeah, because it's in conjunction with
Super lap battle.
Thank you. It's in conjunction with Super Lap Battle. So Super Lap Battle is running the Super Lap Battle on the track.
Okay.
So we've got everything from street cars to GT3 cars running on the track all day, all weekend. It's a 2-day event. We've got drifters up at the front paddock drifting all day, both days, 2-day event. We've got a car show with 300-400 of some of the cleanest and best cars that I've ever seen at a show like that. Rev battles, 2-step battles, DJs, models. It was the entire package. And the fact that it was at Coda, the layout of the show was, I can't say enough good things about it. It was a really good time. I missed it this year. We sponsored it again in March. Alicia got to go and I didn't. I was crushed. But it was the same thing. Just a really great, clean show. No drama, no bullshit, no,
Animosity.
Yeah, all the car show awards, they announced it, and everybody in the crowd's like, yep, that makes it right.
Deserving.
Yeah, and it was just such a good. There was no, I shouldn't have won. Because there's always some of that at car shows. I'm new to the car show scene. Our car show team is only, maybe 2 years old. What it was? Yeah, right at 2 years old now. So I got into the car show scene about 4 years ago. Was not really a big car show guy before that.
Okay.
It's a very different world, and there's
Right.
a lot of
moving
there,
parts,
right? A lot of
and
moving parts. But Jeff does such a good job, and his judges, he has real judges, like actual, not just, hey, you want to go tell me what car you like, but these guys are using scoring sheets. They've done this dozens of times. It's awesome. It's just a really great event. So, big fan. And then we got to mention Subie Fest. Being the first one,
I was about to say.
being the first one, there was obviously some things that they want to do better, right? But god damn, that event was
almost 4,000 people there last year.
so incredible, so incredible. If you're talking about just like Subarus and just that, if you are, it's like the mecca.
If you love Subaru, I was surprised they're in Texas.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm not surprised. We've been campaigning for them to come here. All-wheel drive tuning has been like leading the charge, campaigning for them to come here for years and years and years. And we told them, I talked to them, I don't know, 4 years ago or so. I was emailing with them. I said, I promise you, I'll make you a promise right now. If you come to Texas, it will be the biggest show you've ever done.
Yeah,
I guarantee it. It absolutely was. Yeah, the biggest show that they've ever done. One, because Texas is huge, right? Two, because we love our car culture. The Subie culture in Texas is unmatched. Maybe Colorado, right?
And it was one of those extreme hot days, and that
it
time
was.
too,
It's still,
But nobody,
again, no drama. There was love everywhere, right? I was literally right next to my two biggest competitors, and we were checking out each other's cars and hanging out and talking. And
never know.
it was awesome. It was awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah. So, but you did touch a little bit about animosity and drama and so on and so forth. And I'm recently, about 4 years now, coming from the BMW community, and they're very different in comparison to the Subaru community. Every now and then, I mean, obviously there's going to be dramas everywhere. I mean, it's just the type of world we live in.
Yeah.
But I feel it's a lot lighter than other groups that I've been in. But when it comes to the drama, it still exists, right? And DFW Subies, represent DFW Subies. We have tried to change the culture.
You've done a great job. Yeah, you've done a really good job.
I appreciate that. Like I said, we all have.
Yeah.
Collectively, I just wanted to create a safe space, so to speak, for anybody to come out there and just say, this is my car, it doesn't matter. You've got pages out there that says, respect the build, but no, you don't have to respect the build, type of thing, but, it's one love, know. But it still exists, right? So as far as what has Kraken done to try to mitigate some of that animosity and drama that exists?
So, the first thing that you have to understand about most of that is you have to understand where it's coming from. It's not coming from the shops. It's just not. It's coming from the customers. It's coming from the people. Subaru people are fiercely loyal, right? Obviously, they're loyal to a brand and a car with so many faults, and they still dump all their money and all this time into trying to make this car. And it's really funny. People get mad when the LS guys go, I could have spent $5,000 and made twice the horsepower.
All the time.
Right? But they're, and I get upset at that too. I'm like, right? But they're not wrong. Right? So why take a car that is not
set up,
isn't really built, and because we can't, right? It's the challenge of it. But they're fiercely loyal, and I think that extends into this drama-filled environment that is the internet.
Right.
I don't have any issue with any of the other shops. It's really funny. We had a car meet here a couple weeks ago. We were talking about this off camera earlier. And I met, I don't know, we had what, 40 cars here? 30, 40 cars? And I met several people that were not Kraken customers, right? That were customers of our competitors.
Just want to see what it was about.
And we had great conversations, right? And they were telling me about their car and this and that, and we were looking at the build, and it was great, and just great conversations about it. And I know that those people are never going to be my customers. And I actually had one of the guys tell me, he said, I was kind of afraid to come over here because I thought, every conversation that we have would be trying to convert me. Right? Convert me to Kraken. Right? He's like, you guys are everywhere, right? You're in every show. You're everywhere. It's Kraken. He's like, it's almost like a cult, right? You got a show team and a race team. He's like, I was really afraid that I was going to spend all day listening to people tell me how great Kraken is and this. He's like, I almost didn't come. And he said, I'm really glad that I did, because we spent 20 minutes out there talking about his build and how cool, what they had done to it. And man, this is really cool. They made this choice to do this or use this part, or we would have used this part. And it was really awesome. And the car was amazing. And he was like, man, I really want to thank you for just not being one of those people that, he said, I've gone to shows and had other shops or other builders look at my car and go, oh man, they messed this up and they messed this up. Why'd they do this? That's stupid. And he was like, you didn't do that, right? And I get along with Ryan over at Auto Science. We've had lunch together, right? When we see each other at shows, we shake hands. Hey man, how you doing? How's business? How's things going? I've called him and asked him, hey man, you got one of these parts laying around, that sort of thing. And even though I have a very tumultuous history with Keith and Mary over at All-Wheel Drive Tuning, we actually every time we see Mary, we get along with her, right? I don't have anything bad to say about these people. And I don't, even if I did, I don't want to build my business like that. I'm not going to build my business on what other people did wrong or how I can tear other people down. Am I going to say, hey, we are better, or we do this really well, or we built this really awesome car and nobody else has done anything like this? Absolutely. Because if you owned a business and you didn't think you were the best thing ever, you need to do something else. Right? If you owned a business and you didn't think that you were the best at doing what you do, you need to close your business and go back to whatever you were doing before that. Right? Of course, I think we are the best at what we do. Of course I do. So there you have it. All-wheel drive tuning, great shop. Auto science, great shop. Are we the best at what we do? Absolutely we are. And those three things can exist simultaneously.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. Amen.
Just because I think we're the best doesn't mean I think that everyone else is shit. And that's where it starts.
Right.
That's how this thing happens, because people hear that. Oh, they said they're the best. Well, they said you were crap. No, it's not the same thing, right? So, yes, so I think we are the best at what we do. And that doesn't mean that everyone else is crap. But that's what gets put out on the internet, right? Shawn said that this shop was terrible, or Kraken talks trash about people. I do not. I talk good about us. And that's how I want to build my business. I want to build my business by showing people what we can do better, or that other people can't, or just as good, right? Whatever the case may be, and not worry about what others can't do. That's not my business. It's not my problem, right? I'm going to focus on where we're at and how we can do that. And I'm going to try and foster good relationships with these other shops. I went out of my way to reach out to these other shops and try and build those bridges. And I've done that with pretty much everybody, every shop in the Subaru community. And they've been very receptive to it. And I don't think that they talk crap about me. I don't think that the guys over at AWD, guys and girls, sorry Mary, I don't think that the guys over at Auto Science, I don't think they stand around with their customers talking crap about Kraken. I just don't believe that. And when people tell me that, I'm like,
they don't have the time. They don't have the time for all that.
They just don't. I just don't believe it. It's just people, like I said, people like drama, especially on the internet. They want to stir stuff up. And then there's that fierce loyalty, right? Where this is my shop, and I'm going to defend them to the death, and I'm going to make everybody else look bad so that everybody knows that my shop is the best because that's where I spent all my money. They want to justify that they picked the right place,
Until they have a little whatever, and then all of a sudden
until
they shift to a different shop.
And then they hate us and like them, because now they're giving it. It's all bullshit, and there's no place for it. It doesn't do anybody any good. It's bad for business. Right? Yeah. That's what, it's funny, Ryan over at Auto Science, it's exactly what he said to me. He said, dude, drama is bad for business. It hurts everybody. Yeah. So why would we do it? And I was like, man, you're 100% right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And so yeah, I want to build my business. I want to build my customer base. I want to build the community with love and friendship and kindness as much as humanly possible, and stay away from all of the other stuff. And that's what I tell my race team. That's what I tell my employees. That's why you don't see Kraken employees or me on the internet responding to these people when negative stuff happens. I'm not going to propagate it. And I've warned my employees not to propagate it, right? Don't get on the internet and talk crap to people. That's not what we're about. So you will not see that. And I've even told customers, I have had some customers that have been up in arms, man. And I was like, dude, just let it go. Calm down, right? It's not worth it. We don't need that.
It's cars.
We don't need that.
It's literally his cars.
You want to do something for me? You want to do something for me? Take your car out to the track and put down a badass time. That will shut them up, right? We're going to talk with our work, right? The quality of our work comes first. Every lift in this shop, every computer, has that written on it somewhere. If you look around the shop, you'll see these little white stickers that say the quality of my work comes first. I want it where every single person who works in here can see it every single day, because that is all that matters to me, because that's what's going to speak volumes about who we are and what we do. The quality of our work, the quality of our service, the fact that we actually honor these warranties that we put out. We don't just say we have a 3-year warranty on our motors. We don't just say we have a 1-year warranty on all parts and labor. We actually warranty things when they break,
Right.
right? We stand behind those words because that's how I'm gonna combat that negativity. That's how I'm gonna combat that toxicity, is just by not doing it. Because you can't stop it. There are people that are just gonna do it no matter what. So all you can do is just stay out of it as best you can.
Right.
You know, there are times where people have said some things that were far enough over the line, or that you have to respond. You know, you have to set the record straight. But even when I do that, I'm going to do it with respect,
Professional man.
in a professional manner. And yeah, and I truly believe that the other shops feel the same way I do. I mean, I can't speak for them, obviously. We're not best friends. Right? I mean, I don't want to mislead anybody into thinking that we're all having beers together on Saturday. We're competitors, but we have a professional respect for each other, and I think that they would agree with me wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah. Well, I will be doing some interviews with them as well, so that's the good thing when they have time. And once again, Shawn, like I said, it's your day off. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to come out here, brother. For everyone out there, how can they reach you?
They can find us at 1929 Golden Heights Road, Fort Worth, Texas. We're right up the road from Billy's place. They can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, at kraken-motorsports.com on the internet, or give us a call. Just Google Kraken Motorsports.
Well, that's it. I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you again.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.